Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ian from Vetrepreneur. We have a cool session this week. I am joined by Carlina Williams and Joseph, the Juice Hero team. They provide juice for corporations in the San Francisco Bay Area. Carlina is a full-time student, full-time mother, full-time entrepreneur. So Carlina, super happy to have you on today. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear?
Yeah, I got you.
It's a crazy echo right now, but thank you for having me, everyone.
Thanks, appreciate it. So, okay, so today we're talking about startup priorities. So and we're joined as always by Aaron Saari, CEO of This Is Growth. Aaron, what's up?
What up? How's it going, guys?
Good. So, by the way, really quick housekeeping. Aaron, you're at another undisclosed location. Where are you at this week?
Yeah, so I generally move around week to week. And so this week I'm at in Lake Tahoe.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a huge delay on my end, and conversations are getting overlapped.
Uh-oh. Call that an Ian technical problem.
It is an Ian technical problem. We good now?
It's pretty good on my end. I'm not having any problems.
I have the delay as well. I'm hearing like 3 conversations.
Did you click? Is the YouTube video live on another channel?
No, I have YouTube closed. There we are. Let's see. Sound check.
Any echo still? Is it good now?
All right. I think we're good now.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
How's yours, Joseph? Feeling good?
I'm feeling good.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I actually had the YouTube open. I think that was my problem.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, don't worry, we can't edit any of this out. So everybody who was live is now not live anymore. So
yeah. So I'm in Squaw Valley right now in Lake Tahoe. The reason I'm here, I'm at a resort. I'm actually at the Olympic Village Inn, which is where the 1960 Winter Olympic Olympians all stayed. And I'm here because of an awesome website I found for veterans called Veterans Holidays. They have tons of just space available time at resorts and timeshares and stuff like that around the world. And you can stay in places for a week for as little as $350. So I'm in this amazing 1-bedroom apartment at a resort that has, a heated lap pool, sauna, gym, like all this stuff with, the peaks of Squaw Valley looking down on me for about $50 a night. So it's pretty awesome. It's a great place for me to work from for creative strategy work. So everyone's out there that likes to travel or can travel for work or just wants to get away, check out veteransholidays.com. They're not paying me anything for this. I just found them and really love them. So I'll talk to them later about paying me for stuff like that. But
they're sponsoring the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now.
Today, we're going to get started on startup priorities. So one of the things that Carlina and I talked about was she has a ton of competing priorities. Her developer has a ton of competing priorities. So how do we focus on the things that maximize revenue in the short term and bring you more customers? So we're going to talk about 3 things: customer development, your digital storefront, and then moving customers through your sales funnel. And they're all kind of interrelated. And first, Aaron, I think we'll hand it over to you so you can kind of walk through how you look at that.
Perfect. Yeah, and just some more housekeeping here. Joseph's on here too. He is the development team for Carlina, also a veteran, Army veteran.
Hey guys.
Joseph, anything else about you want to say before we jump in?
No, you pretty much nailed it. Juice Hero team, combat veteran. I love it.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to jump into the website here. I'm going to do a screen share onto ilovejuicehero.com and then jump into some notes. 2 seconds. Boom. Okay. You able to see that?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yes.
So first off, great looking site, modern looking site, some cool features here that, move around and everything. Great start. So the first thing I want to talk about is customer personas. So we, if you've watched this before, you've heard me probably say a lot of times, you only get one. You get one customer persona, especially if you're a small business. So, in this case, Carlina's business, Carlina is a student, a mom, and a full-time business owner. So she doesn't have time to focus on, even two different types of customers. She needs to focus on one. So as the site's set up right now, there's two customer personas essentially. There's catering for businesses, for offices, and then there's home delivery for individuals who want to order one juice bottle. The way to go for a small business like this is to focus on one customer persona. And the reason that you want to do that when you're really small is it lets you take all of your messaging and as well as all of your business development time outside of your website and focus all of it on your most valuable customers. So what that means is, instead of Carlina going out and talking to individuals and asking them, when she meets them, if they want to, order, some juice from her, she's focusing all of her time on finding office managers who are the people that order the catering for different businesses. So if she meets an individual that's interested in, in her juice, instead of going, oh, you should buy some from me, she's going, yeah, I only sell to office managers. Do you know any office managers, in your personal network, something like that. So it really keeps the messaging super focused when you're doing face-to-face business development. And it also allows you to focus your messaging on your website. So with that in mind, and Carlina and I talked a little bit before this, the ideal customer for Juice Hero, and there's already validation on that, which we'll talk about in a second, is catering to offices. And the reason that is true for her business is because you get a lot of orders with one delivery, and so it really minimizes the logistics overhead of delivering, for her small business. And the validation that businesses already want her product, she's providing juices to Airbnb headquarters. So most people outside of San Francisco think of Airbnb as just the site that lets you stay at places. So you're thinking of oh, is she delivering to people that are staying in other people's houses? Now this is Airbnb headquarters. Massive company in San Francisco. That's just an amazing client to have. That's a lot of great social validation. So with that's one, that's validating that office managers, corporate clients want your product, and two, it gives you a great piece of advertising to use that you can put in the forefront and say, we provide juice to Airbnb's headquarters. So right now it's kind of hidden up here, but that can be something that is really on that social validation for, showing that Airbnb is, validated with you. So that's on the the customer persona side. So as a first recommendation, I would say basically get rid of everything that's on your website that's marketing towards individual customers. I just got a notification from someone that's watching that said it's frozen, Ian. So you might want to look into that just in case. So one, get rid of anything on your site that's focused on individual customers that are just buying one juice bottle. And two, you want to change the messaging on your site to focus on, essentially the mindset that when someone comes there, they're going, these people cater to businesses. And we'll go into some ways to do that really quick. So the call to action for your site should be that you want new clients to come and get in touch with you to start ordering from you. Mm-hmm. So you've got Airbnb as an existing client. You've got your three clients up here right now. You've got your three potential orderers up here. You got catering, home delivery, and Airbnb. So if we're getting rid of home delivery in the short term, that's an easy one. Joseph can get rid of most of those pieces real quick. You guys are built on WordPress, which is really easy for you guys to alter a lot of those things, so that's really convenient. So then you live with book catering and Airbnb. So first thing I want to talk about is the Airbnb deal here. So the way that you've got it set up right now, if I go to Airbnb or either of these links, it comes to a password protected area. if I come from over here, I've got the Airbnb special that goes to a password protected area. And what we talked about, is one of the reasons, what Carlina told me is one of the reasons that she has the Airbnb part for them to make orders front facing on her site, even though it's content protected, is for that social validation. And that's definitely true. You want to really put the Airbnb partnership at the forefront. But what you don't want to do is confuse other users in terms of what they think is possible. So with that in mind, if I'm coming to this site for the first time, I'm going to think that you're providing to people that are staying at Airbnb because most people don't think of Airbnb as a company. They think of it as a place that you book rooms. So I'd click through to Airbnb and go, oh, this is a hard stop right here. There's a hard stop page. I can't do anything from here. I don't have a password, and then I might leave the site. And so you want to remove any opportunity for people to, have a hard stop and leave the site. Basically, you always want them to be moving through a sales funnel. So the way that I would do that is I'd give the Airbnb folks a unique link. I'd have something like, ilovejuicehero.com/Airbnb. And tell people at Airbnb and your partnership there, that's their unique link. There won't be anything public facing on the site for them, and that's what they send out so that they can get it, which will just make it easier for you to get new clients while still servicing those existing clients. So what that does, is that removes the Airbnb public facing link, the home delivery public facing links. You can focus completely on book catering. Is what you want to be able to do. So to start doing that, I'm going to just roll through the site here with a few get you going. So first of all, just the first couple things that I check for on websites is, outside of first, is there a call to action? Is two, is it mobile responsive? This website is. I looked at it on my phone. As I changed the size of it and everything still works. Joseph obviously did a good job there. He knows the minimum standards for having a website in today's age, which is
sure.
It's amazing how many companies don't know that. If you look around the internet, you'll see tons of websites that don't work on mobile devices and don't work when you change the size of the screen. So responsive website, huge first step, and that'll help you in Google rankings and everything too. So that's good. The second thing that I always look for, though, is a call to action. And that call to action should always be above the fold. So what that means is, it's on the first page before I scroll anywhere. I see the call to action. So for you guys on the whole first page, there's not really a call to action. The best call to action that there is have questions. We're here to help. So there's a contact form, which that's a good call to action if you're having office managers just get in touch with you in general. But we want to make that, we want to do two things with that. One, you want to have it above the fold, and two, you want to have it a more defined call to action. So instead of just have questions, or have a question, you want to do something more along the lines of something like learn about our catering, or learn about our catering for offices. Something like that. So I'd even change that messaging a little bit from book catering, because then that's going to corporate events as well as offices and things like that. You want to say your customer is let's say even tech startups in San Francisco, so you can keep your logistics down. So you're making fewer deliveries. Tech startups in San Francisco that have basically, I would say 40 to 200 employees. Obviously, Airbnb is a unique one. They have a lot more than 200 employees. But with your current ability to produce volume, I would say, which is 30 to 60 juices, I would say 40 to 100 employees, and that's your target market. I would target startups because they're generally providing a lot of, startups, tech companies in San Francisco, because they're generally providing a lot of these things in their offices. A lot of older companies that aren't startups, they don't provide anything for their employees. So they're just poor customers, because you're going to have to convince them why they should provide perks to their employees, which is an uphill battle. Believe me, I talk to a lot of those companies, and convincing them of a lot of things that are just standard is hard. So I would move away from book catering even and go towards, book, or order, order juices for, your, tech startup office, something like that. So as soon as those people see the website, they go, oh, this is my company right here. I need to learn more. And then that call to action can be, learn what we can do for your company, or learn how we can make your employees happier and healthier. Oh, that'd be so good. Learn how we can make your employees happier and healthier. That's what I'd have as the call to action, something along those lines. So they're going to click through from this page, and that's where you go to tell them about, how you deliver to their office, how you, why, cold pressed juices are so good for their employees, even some testimonials from people that have had their cold pressed juices and how it made their day better in their office, and see, all these things, that I'm talking about. By defining that customer really well, you're able to have that messaging catered specifically towards that customer.
Well, and let me say,
yeah, jump in.
Well here. So you're talking about an office manager that definitely want to worry about logistics. Like office managers, that's their biggest pain point, is like they have a million things going on and it's always a huge pain to deal with all of that. So it's like something around the, your fridge is stocked Monday through Friday. Like no hassle is guaranteed, right? Like that sort of stuff where it's like the fastest way to keep your fridge stocked with fresh juice, which keeps your customer, or which keeps your employees happy. Like those sort of things where it's like speed, efficiency, ease of use. Because I think that, the way that it looks now where it says we serve, we educate, we provide is great, but it's like, what if you don't need education? What if you don't need, serving? What if you don't need providing, right? It's like, what I really just need is like a super cold juice in my hand on Friday when usually they're all out by Wednesday, right?
That's a really good point. Yeah. The base kind of like the base principle behind that is that customers always first care about how you're helping them, right? Other things that you're doing on the side are topping on like that hot fudge sundae. But like the first thing they want is like, I want ice cream. Are you giving me ice cream? And so like, yeah, for you guys, it's,
we help office managers, we help office managers fill your fridge with fresh juice. We make your employees happy, right? Like that's what you do. You make their life easier so that their employees' lives are happy.
Or even just, fresh juice in your office in 3 clicks, something like that. Like healthy employees in 3 clicks, things like that. It's just like, this is stupid simple. I need to learn more, because what you're doing here is helping to guide them through your sales funnel, which is basically, from the first page, they want to know that, is this a company that is providing services to me? Am I their customer? So on that first page, you're saying, cold pressed juices for tech startups in San Francisco, right? And they're like, I am that. And there's going to be a ton of people that come to your site that aren't that, but that's okay, because you don't need those customers. You're building a brand to start around like your ideal customer, right? Which if you already have Airbnb, tech startups in San Francisco, they know who Airbnb is. They're going to be like, yes, that's social validation. And you're saying your cold pressed juices for tech startups in San Francisco. Cool. Then their mind's going to go, tell me more. And that's where you have that call to action that says, learn more. They're going to go, okay, let's learn more. And that next page is catering all to that office manager's problems. Their problem is, I need to, I'm supposed to be keeping my employees healthy. I'm supposed to be keeping them excited with like cool new things. Like cold pressed juice is a cool new thing, not like boxes of, Teddy Grahams. And then like, I want it to be super easy, so what you want to key on with your copywriting is, first easy, because they know, like in San Francisco, they're going to know what cold pressed juices are. That stuff is everywhere now. So like super easy, and then, healthy for the employees, and like why, you know, cold pressed juices is unique in that order. So on that second page, you're telling them, you know, easy, healthy, unique, you know, and they're going to be like, that's awesome. And then the call to action in that page is going to be either, you know, order now or get in touch to talk about your office's requirements. And I think for yours, since you're creating relationships, you know, it's a pretty big cost, you know, up front. If they're getting like 30 juices or something, you know, for them, they're probably going to want to talk to someone first. So I'd say the primary lead or the primary sales funnel, for you is like lead generation. So that people want to talk to you so that you can reach out to them. So I'd say from that page of, you know, here's the benefits and here's the ease of use, the call to action is, you know, essentially get in touch to learn more. And they can put in their info, and that's where you have that contact form that's gauged specifically to that lead generation, where you say, you know, get in touch and I will, and we'll schedule a call for me to tell you, to learn about your requirements and suggest the right package for you, right? Because most of these office managers aren't going to know which juices they should order yet, you know, or, you know, how many they should order for their office size, because they don't know if everyone's going to drink it and stuff like that. And that's where you can really do that education piece on the phone and close that deal. So I would have that call to action be a contact form, you know, where you're going, essentially, you know, hey, what's your name? What's your email address? What's your company's name? How many employees do you have in the office? And then, you know, click submit basically. So you've got all that information that you can start reaching out to them. And what I would do is have that page go from there, that contact page, go to, after they've submitted that data, the page that it redirects to is a schedule a call page. And I'd set up something really simple like Calendly. It's like Calendly, super simple, where they can schedule a call with you. And then you can control, you know, those time slots, you know, that work for you around your classes, you know, and stuff like that, Carlina. So they can schedule that call, and then you call them to discuss what they're doing and actually close that deal on the phone. And then while you're on the call, even since you already have the ordering set up online with WooCommerce on WordPress there, you can send them that link. And I would have a unique link that's a little bit hidden even, that is, you know, ilovejuicehero.com/order, something like that, you know, where the people that you've already set up that relationship with for catering, you know, for offices, that they always know, hey, if we want to get stuff, we've already talked to Carlina. We already like love her product. We've tried a few different ones. We already know what we want. So whenever we need new stuff, we go to ilovejuicehero.com/order, and we order new stuff for the office, and they already know what we're doing there. So that's like that link that you kind of have to know what you're looking for to find it, because it's only for people that you've already closed the deal with. So kind of wrapping that all together, you know, your customer persona is, you know, smaller tech startups in San Francisco, you know, 40 to 100 employees, I would say. You know, so gear all of your messaging towards them. Your sales funnel for your site, for the first page, is saying, you know, even above the fold is saying, you know, cold pressed juices for tech startups in San Francisco. So they're like, this is my company. I need to work with these guys, you know, and learn more. That's the call to action, you know, or, you know, even a call to action with it is like, learn why cold pressed juices are, or learn why your employees, like, learn how cold pressed juices will make your employees more productive.
Yep.
That's really good.
Yeah. I wrote down here, hand delivered, healthy, happy, right? It's like the idea that it's like, you know, that is exactly what you want if you're an office manager or you're an employer, right? Like that makes perfect sense. So if you had, you know, cold pressed juices for tech companies, and then it's like underneath that, like hand delivered, healthy, happy, like crystal clear. Exactly.
So that's that front page, drawing those customers in. And if they click to the next page, they're already qualified leads. You know that because like if it's, someone who's not a San Francisco tech startup, they're probably not going to click the learn more button. Mm-hmm. So the next page is all geared towards office managers of, tech startups in San Francisco. So think of the office manager that you're working at with Airbnb. Think about other office managers you talk to even. What are their biggest problems? I would say, ease of use, keeping their employees healthy, and keeping, the stuff that's happening exciting, and gear your messaging on that page around why your cold press juice service does that. And then the call to action on that page, and I would even say, you could even have this form on that page, is all geared around them getting in touch so you can learn more. So, it's, hey, get in touch to schedule a call, to learn more about how we can help you. And then that form, like we laid out there, with their name, their company size, and like their email address. The next page in the funnel, the third step in your funnel, after they've given you that contact information. So we're at like 2 pages so far. The third page would be like Calendly, so they can schedule that call around, their best office schedule. And then from there, that's going to, come to a thank you page. And I would even from that, to continue that sales funnel so that they can learn, while they're waiting, is from that Calendly, after they schedule a call, you can have them, it can go to a page that tells them more about the different juice offerings and why each of those is beneficial. So they can actually look at those ahead of time before you even call them. And then from there, that call is going to be on your calendar. So who you're calling, your sales calls for that day, that to call them, which company they're at. So you can do research on the company and talk about why, how cold pressed juices are even aligned with their company mission, things like that, just the research that you do for biz dev. Mm-hmm. And then, you can make that call. So I think that's the ideal sales funnel for your site, just in general. Any questions on that? I'm going to go into some like other cosmetic things on the site too. But any questions on this? I went through that really quickly.
It sounds pretty straightforward to me, and it makes sense.
I agree.
A lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I don't have any questions, and a lot of it's really reiterating some of the stuff that I knew and should have implemented already. So this is great stuff and a good refresher.
Yeah, it's actually, and Joseph, that's a great point too. Is that like, there's a lot of, I build websites and everything too. I build sales funnels for clients, and I even sometimes, when you're doing the development of a site, you get caught up in the development of the site as opposed to the primary purpose of the site, which is, generating leads, making sales, things like that, because they're 2 very separate processes. And if you do them both at the same time, you're going to dilute both of them probably, And so the way that I end up doing it is I map out my sales funnel first. I just use like a really simple, you can do this in like in Google Drawings, where you're just like connecting the pages. Like, what is the sales funnel, and what is the intent on that page? Even just like some of the words that we've talked about right here, typing those out of headlines. What is our call to action going to be on that site? So before you're even creating it physically, you're visualizing the call to action and the general flow of the site, and then you build out those elements first. So like that first page, you build out just the above the fold landing where you're like, okay, cold pressed juices for San Francisco's tech startups. Cool. With a call to action says learn more, goes to this page where I have like my 3 benefits. And I go, even when you're doing that page, you're like benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3. And I create this form, and I already drew out on something else what I want the form to be. I set up my Calendly so that you have the bones there, and then you can add to it later. You can add better clothes to it later. Because I know when I'm developing sites too, that becomes a problem. And so it's really good, and this is outside of just this particular, business that we're talking about, but just how to design a good sales funnel. Map out the sales funnel first, very generally, and then build those bones, and then make and then add clothes to it so it looks good. Because if not, this has happened to me a bunch of times too, is you get distracted by development, and you stray away from like the sales funnel,
That's good. Kind of a general to specific technique. I like that.
Exactly. It works really well. Cool. So I'm going to jump back in here. I'm going to share my screen again here, and I'm just going to go on to some cosmetic things on the site. And Joseph, you're probably already working on some of these, but I'll point them out anyway. Can you see my screen again, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Outstanding. Cool. So first of all, you guys will need a call to action up here. We already talked about that. Something to keep in mind with your call to action, make that call to action button a very different color from anything else that you see on this page. So one thing that I would recommend is these pieces here that are different colors. I still keep the animations because I think that just shows, like a lot of modernness to a website. But I'd possibly even make them all the same color. Actually, I would definitely make them all the same color, because the color scheme along the page stays in this kind of green. And the reason I do that is that like a different color indicates a different call to action. And these aren't calls to action as much. Well, these are all different call to actions. There's sign up now, there's learn more, and there's shop now. But I would minimize that to a single color. And then the call to action, which I would have up here, would be a separate color. And I think on your site, I'd make that yellow. The yellow works really well with your color scheme, I think. So that call to action button, I think, would be yellow. And I'd even have a call to action up in the navigation, because you have a sticky navigation up here with that button that's that says learn more, or going towards that form of contacting you, so they can learn more about how it works for their office. So from here, I'm just gonna go through all these pages here. So let's imagine now that we have a button up here that says get in touch, or learn why we're right for your business, whatever. Who is Juice Hero? This is really good too. This is just like the background. Having a good about page is really important. As consumers now, and even consumers or even businesses that are buying things, we want to know who we're buying from. So having more than just the company's mission and everything, but also having who is running the company is really important, and having that background on them. You want to be able to connect.
Hold on, that's a great quote. That needs to be way bigger.
This one? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would make that its own little quote block right down here. I think that's pretty solid. But I think, so like this about page is crucial. And I think what I might even do is, actually what I would definitely do is I'd remove this image up here, because it doesn't really, it aesthetically looks good, but it doesn't, it kind of detracts a little bit from the purpose of the page, which is just the about side. So if you remove this and push the headline up, I think you'll be fine. So to look more like this, probably with a little bit more space there. So like, who is Juice Hero? Maybe even having, instead of having the image there, just a kind of this kind of line, where you have the distinction between the navigation, but focusing mostly on the who is Juice Hero piece.
Well, and then what's the mission, right? Like, our mission is to make healthy, happy employees, right? And then it's like, coding is hard and you need mental energy. Like, Juice Hero aims to, make it, or our mission is, to make employees healthy and happy, because your time at work, shouldn't be doing whatever it is. But that's the mission, like upfront, very clear. And then like, who are we? Oh, we're a team of military veterans that are, this is our second service to do blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I would put all that on this page. And I think the fonts you have and everything like that, they're like, this is a really well designed like brand. Whoever did that, great job with fonts, colors, all that stuff too. So, but I would add all those pieces in that Ian talked about. The other piece is so for kind of going along here along the top more. So I would probably, just because there's not a lot of content yet on the blog, I would not have that in the navigation. I'd probably put it in the footer. I'd keep it in the footer, but I wouldn't have it on the navigation, because the purpose that you're working for right now is to get new clients. And the other piece, is that like blogs are really good if they have content that's really current. And for you, the blog side isn't going to be the big generator of new leads. And also some of the posts, like the posts are pretty dated. So I would say it's better to just hide that so people don't get distracted by it or be turned off by it. Something that I do when I go to websites, I'll check out their blog, and if the blog posts are from like a few months ago, then I'll be like, oh, these guys haven't been they haven't updated their website in a while, because the blog is, to most people, is indicative of the website. Cool. Like, oh, they haven't updated their blog in a while. I wonder if they're even still in business. I wonder, if they're maintaining everything else as well. Like if they aren't maintaining this crucial piece of their website, then are they maintaining everything else? So for me, I would recommend, taking the blog off the navigation, still maintaining it, taking the blog off the navigation, but yeah, still maintaining it.
But your blog is for somebody, right? It's for your customers. That's and this is a common mistake. People, their blog is all about them. The blog is all about your customers. And it's like, if your blog is, your Juice Hero blog is about, it's a great source for tips and tricks for office managers to make their lives easier, right? Or to make their employees healthier and happier or something like that. So then you're producing, for every 8 pieces of content that you post on your blog, which might not be worth it, but it's like, you're posting different sort of like things that you can use as an office manager to keep your employees happy and healthy. And then if you guys have like a relevant partnership or a big thing, you can post it on there. But the kind of idea that it's just like, it's all about us. Well, it's like, well, yeah, that's interesting, but like nobody reads articles about a business that they don't know, but they will read an article about, 5 ways how to set up a office party in less than 2 hours, for example.
Absolutely. And like, actually, so coming back around on that, for your blog, so creating content takes a lot of time. What I would do is, think about, like, the internet has tons of content already created for office managers. So I would just create posts that are a summary of other people's content and link to that content even. And so, like, what I would do, and this would be like really easy to queue up, if you're using, I can't remember the plugin for WordPress, but there's a really simple plugin for this. You could create all these posts and queue them up. I know Duffelblog uses it, so I can't remember what it's called though. I'm sure you can find it, Joseph. There's tons of these to like schedule content so that the blog posts create themselves on time, publish on time on the site. But what I would do is I'd go to BuzzSumo and I'd be like, office managers, and BuzzSumo is a site that shows you like the most popular content for based on websites and keywords and stuff like that. I would do, so like I just put in healthy employees right on BuzzSumo, and it's going to show me the most popular posts about healthy employees here, right? So you could take a bunch of this stuff and just like, healthy workplace produces employees who work smarter and longer. So, if I open that up, I could take this post from The Guardian and summarize it really quick, and then create your own post on your blog and link over to this site. And that's producing, really valuable content for your ideal customer, which is office managers. And you don't have to create any content yourself other than that little snippet of why this is important for office managers, right? And so it's still like keeps you generating leads, but you don't have to create content on your own.
And then you're posting that stuff on your social channel, and it's way easier because you're just linking back to your blog and you're just saying like, whatever. And it's like that little snippet that you create plus linking back to your blog, which links back to The Guardian for that long form content.
Absolutely. And the nice thing that you can do with this is like the way that I would end up doing this is decide for like, 1 day or half a day or something for the time that you're working on your business, that like, okay, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to find articles and queue them up for the blog. So go to BuzzSumo, type in, keywords like healthy employees, why cold pressed juices are great, or, things like that. snag all of these articles, create a list of them in some document. For each article, create your summary of it, or what you took from it, and then put those into your WordPress site and schedule them to publish on their own. And you could create a month's worth of content, so you only have to do this once a month, right? So you can create a month's worth of content in like 3 or 4 hours just by using BuzzSumo. It's going to tell you all the articles you should share, because it's saying how many things are getting the most Facebook engagements and everything. So you already know it's a good article to share. You can queue these up, create summaries, schedule them in WordPress, do that once a month for 4 hours. And now you have a really active blog that's providing really good content for your ideal customer, which is, office managers that want to keep their employees healthy. You do that once a month for like 4 hours. And now you have, ongoing content. So that's what I would do with your blog in general. And then I'd probably keep it, if you do that, I'd keep it as a tab up here on your navigation. If you have if you're posting, 2 or 3 things a week, which is only, 8 to 10 articles a month, which, if you just look at this, you could snag these 10 and you'd be good.
Hey, this is about, I was just going to say, but this is about priorities, and for now, take it off, take blog off, and just focus on that later. Because that's a bunch more stuff that you can focus on once you get 10 more customers, or something. Because that stuff will matter, but like you said, for now, that's a lot of work, and streamlining, focusing, finding your customers where they are is going to be the most important part.
That's a really good
I just wanted to add that I'm working on working with some interns at my school, so maybe I can get someone to do that for me.
Yes.
That's cool.
That kind of job is a perfect intern job.
Mm-hmm.
That was, hey, it's almost like someone should do a keynote on that for student veterans.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff that I have my assistant do, or I've had interns do. So it's perfect for that.
Aaron,
yeah.
That's exactly what I did my keynote on this weekend at the San Mateo event.
What do interns do?
That literal exact thing, how student veterans can create their own job at a startup.
Nice. I like it. If there's any student veterans listening, I need a new intern, so let me know.
Oh, dude, I have one for you. Anyway,
we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so going back to Ian's point, though, priorities. So the priority to keep in mind is something like a blog. That's to fill the sales funnel. The first thing you need to do is create a optimized sales funnel, right? So that you can actually fill it. So the first thing to focus on is definitely, what we talked about with those different pages in that sales funnel, which you basically have, a 3-step sales funnel: homepage, learn more and get in touch, and then your Calendly page. So the things that I'm talking about right now, these are all distractions from that priority. That's still your priority. But these are just cosmetic things that I would say to put on the back burner to do later, because we're not going to meet every week, for me to say work on this now. But if you have interns that you can queue that up for them to do really quick and easy, you might as well do it while you're working on the deeper pieces of optimizing that sales funnel. Going along here, the contact us page. The contact us page I think is really good. I would make this more targeted though, where you're saying in this form even have a drop down that's giving them options to contact you about. And that's the subject line, so I'd remove the subject and instead put a drop down that's saying, what are you contacting us about? And it's I would say, things like learning about, cold pressed juices for our office, speaking engagements for, veteran-owned business owner, other things like that. And then they can put their message down here so that it's really targeted and really easy for them to make a choice. Because I know one of the things that I always spend the most time on is just okay, what's the subject of my message here? And the subject of the message just needs to be, generally what they're talking about. So I'd simplify that just in general. That's a side cosmetic thing. And then I'm going to go over to, this order page, which is, based on what we talked about, this would be a page that is not in the navigation. Your navigation would end up in the shortest term saying home, about, get, order for your office, something like that. And that order for your office would go to that learn more about the benefits and everything page with that call to action. So up here, you'd have three pieces. You could keep this items piece. Actually, I would say remove that items piece because it's clickable. So you have 3 calls to action up here. So this part now would be the place where office managers that you've already closed a deal on come to order. And I think the layout's already really good. But what I would do is I would make these order now pieces buttons that are a different color, just like the other calls to action, so that they stick out so you know what to do. Because when we're scrolling down a page, we look for the places that you want us to click. And right here, like I know this says click here. I would actually probably remove this and focus on, the types of orders that people are making. So have that call to action there where they know that they're looking for one of those buttons and they're clicking into it. Same with the add to cart button. Make that maybe that yellow color so it definitely sticks out so people know like, oh, this is where I click to add it to the cart. The view cart piece comes up here. The cart part is up here. If there's a way to make this the cart piece show up only when people are ordering, that'd be good. I don't know if that's possible. It's a fun challenge for you, Joseph.
I think another thing is the customized order piece that I haven't really seen yet is like, that's where you want to schedule the call. It's like custom order ? Schedule a call today. Because that's like one of those things that especially everybody in San Francisco wants things done their own way. Is like, here's our 3 offerings. You can order these on the site directly or custom, like schedule a call.
Yeah. I think that can definitely work. That works to like keep them through that funnel. And so, you have to define what those like the right terms are for you to use and iterate on those and even like ask office managers, what they're doing. So that's generally like the cosmetic things on the site. The other thing that I would do, is if you haven't already, install Hotjar so you can see what people are actually doing on the site, with heat maps and, user videos. So you can see where they're clicking, where they're falling off, stuff like that. It'll analyze your forms, so like your sign up form that you're using for people to get in touch with you. It'll tell them, how long they're spending on, on the different blocks. You can decide if the blocks need to be renamed or, taken off, stuff like that. Hotjar is free. Throw it on your site. You'll learn a ton about the visitors that are coming to your site. SumoMe also has heat maps and things like that. The nice thing with SumoMe, so I'd recommend both of these free tools to put on your site. SumoMe, you can use Google Analytics with it, and it'll put that analytics data right on your site, so you don't have to log into Google Analytics, the mess that is Google Analytics, and check that out. You can have it just straight overlaid on your site, which is really convenient. So it'll have this little box there that you can click into and see deeper analytics, but you don't have to go to Google Analytics to see it. So those are just a couple of things that I would, add in there that'll just help a lot. So covered lots of stuff. Just to kind of reiterate some of those things in terms of priorities. Take all of the, everything that you're thinking about with your customer, everything when you're talking to people in the real world, when you're talking to people on your website, everything that you're talking about is you are providing cold pressed juices to tech startups in San Francisco. When someone asks, what does Juice Hero do? We provide cold pressed juices to tech startups in San Francisco, right? That's such an easy message, because if someone knows someone who works at a tech startup in San Francisco, they'll be like, oh, cool. I work at one of those. Could you provide to mine? It just makes your messaging super actionable when you're talking to people as well as on your website. So, change all of your messaging to that super defined customer persona. And internally, you're thinking of, I would even tell people this when you're meeting them, and our target customer is, companies with 40 to 100 employees, because that's also easy. Like, especially in San Francisco, everyone knows someone who works in tech, and they probably know someone who works in a tech startup. So you'd be like, oh, do they have 50 employees? You should talk to my friend that works at this company. Mm-hmm. So it's just like super well-defined, easy biz dev for you. So all your messaging mentally and on your website, focus on that customer persona. So that's 1. 2, start changing your site to be a really simplified sales funnel for that customer. So the landing page that we talked about with that call to action, saying, this is cold pressed juices for tech startups in San Francisco. Learn more, telling them why it's great for them, how you're going to change, save them time, make their employees healthier, all of that, along with that contact form that tells, those very minimal fields, name, email, company, and number of employees. Have that direct to a Calendly link where they can schedule a call, and then that's your sales funnel. The other additional piece that I put into that sales funnel is after they submit that form, also, have an automated email that goes to them that has that link to Calendly as well, just in case they don't schedule it right away, so that that they're getting that in a couple places. They can schedule a call for you. And if you see that they don't schedule a call, do a one-to-one, individual follow-up, saying, hey, thanks for giving me the information, sign up with Calendly. But that's your sales funnel. So develop that sales funnel. And then after that sales funnel is developed, then work on some of those cosmetic pieces in the site of just, changing the colors of the call to action, just making the site flow a little bit better, updating the blog, having, some of those interns even, do some of those blog pieces for you, stuff like that. But that's the three priorities and easy, actionable things that I would do in the shortest term is, define that customer persona in all ways, set up that sales funnel functionally, and then fix everything, or not fix everything, but update everything aesthetically so that the sales funnel looks great, so that the blog, is a good lead generator, stuff like that, and all that stuff, that's pretty actionable. That'll definitely make it really easy for you to start generating more leads through your website real quick. And, and add things like Hotjar and SumoMe so you can refine even better in the long term because those are free. But that's what I would do if I was running Juice Hero.
This is great stuff, guys. I'm super excited, honestly.
I was just going to say one more thing too, you're talking about brand new first-time customers, and people don't want to get married once they get on the site. They just want a first date. And it's try your first shipment of Juice Hero, and you'll be, you'll be a hero for life. Or try your first shipment this week, and you'll become, and you'll be saying, I love Juice Hero like these people. And then quote from Airbnb, quote from Art Café, quote from, another customer.
Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the great thing is what you guys can do, as you're after you've got the functional sales funnel set up, of those 3 steps, you can start testing out those different messaging ideas too. Are we getting more? Let's do this for 2 weeks. We're focusing on, get your first shipment, of Juice Hero, for another 2 weeks, you're testing out some other message that's trying to move people through the funnel and always refining, But the first thing you have to do is have the functional, very few steps functional funnel, and then put those messages on there, and then fill the funnel with things like the blog, you doing biz dev, and then just iterate on it and you'll grow. But those are later steps.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where taste test trial, get 20% off your first shipment. That's so easy to do.
Yeah.
And it's something that we all understand, I'm taking a risk on this juice, and they're getting, and I get rewarded for that by 20% off.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wrote out a ton of copy that I'll post in the show notes.
Yeah.
This is great stuff, guys. And just to reiterate, I don't want you to think this is falling on deaf ears, but I'm definitely going to start with the tech startups, defining our demographic, and then creating that sales funnel like you were talking about. This is a great strategy. And then just going back and kind of updating those cosmetic issues that will make the functionality a lot better. And I definitely liked what you said about the homepage, kind of creating it all to that nice one green, and then having that red button just pop out. And yellow, like you mentioned, but definitely something yellow in a field of green definitely stands out. So this is good stuff, guys. I'm really impressed.
Nice.
Likewise.
Yeah.
As I expected.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. We'll follow up in a couple months here and obviously be in touch. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to the viewers live. And we'll talk to everybody next week, 11 o'clock.
All right.
Network.
Good
Take
one.
care, y'all.
Later.
Bye.